Nathaniel for 9.99. Whitsitt is the best of the flat Earth debaters by a mile. Can't help but wonder what kind of legitimate scientific learning or process he could be involved in if he didn't waste it on such nonsense. So they backhanded. Oh man, sorry about that.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, well, it turns out, bro, that most of mainstream physics in 2023 is very limited and confined due to philosophical bias that people don't even know are there. So I'm glad that I'm not inside of that. If I had have like I'll be honest, bro, I got a college scholarship playing football, so it was like half athletic, half academic, and I just partied. I didn't even go to class or whatever. But if I had have like been responsible and got like a physics degree, I might have been lost in the sauce. I may have been like, yeah, photons, lightweight wave particle duality, I mean, oh man, have you guys heard about the galaxy distribution? Like, I don't know, right? So I'm cool with it. I'm content with it. And I will say, I kind of see where you're coming from. I don't think that dude is, I think that probably took a lot from that person to try to tip his hat to me. And he had to finish it with that. But I appreciate the compliment. I know where you're coming from and why you had to present it that way. But I think the truth always has to step outside the box. So I'd rather do that.
Well, let's read this next one here. Dylan says, Whitsitt, it doesn't matter if something can be explained in different ways. What you need is to provide a model that you can use to make novel, testable predictions. You don't know what evidence is. All right, so thoughts there, Whitsitt?
Yeah. My prediction from my model is that everything that we ever observe till the end of mankind's history will go around the Earth. Everything will move around the Earth, and everything will complete circuits within a year. So everything in the sky is on the same yearly cycle. Everything will move around the Earth forever. That's my prediction, okay? Coincidence, that's what we've observed forever, and that's what we will observe forever, okay? That's just how it goes. So the actual default position based on all empirical evidence is that the Earth is in the center, bro. If you think that it's actually flying around the sun, it's just an illusion, just give me some evidence. Stop ad-homing me. We can maybe make some progress, but the evidence doesn't exist.
Next one, Ben Rook for $10. Whitsitt and his camp have not actually produced helpful predictions and or discoveries that have projected science forward. I would really like Whitsitt to address this point specifically. Well, you got him here, Ben.
Actually, all predictions, all scientific advances assume that the Earth is stationary and in the center. All of them. Literally everything. Even if you believe in satellites and you believe in missions in space, if you believe in anything, if you believe in UFO, everything, bro. Like plane advancements, the little triangle little UFO jumps, which my friend has seen, is pretty crazy, what I'm saying? They're not unidentified, just the military classified them. What I'm saying is, all of that assumes a stationary Earth. Everything, if you believe in satellites, they assumed an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system with the universe moving around it, causing real inertial forces in their math. Everything, including the fact that there's a ether drift and that GPS actually utilizes a preferred direction of light that goes faster in the same direction the sky spins and gets faster the higher you go. All of that assumes the Earth is central and stationary. So literally every piece of technology ever has assumed the Earth is stationary and in the center. And your model claims, well, yeah, you can treat it like that. You have to treat it like that, but it's just a stubbornly persistent illusion. It's just an illusion. So it's an ironic question, and you won't accept it because you're going to start suffering from cognitus or whatever, but that's just a fact, bro. Like, every technology assumes the Earth's in the center of the quote-unquote universe.
All right, well, let's, here's what I'll do. I'll put on that 30-second timer again, and we'll try to get through these. There's a lot of them, actually.
All right, I'll keep it really concise.
A lot of people are excited about this debate between you and TJump.
I don't want to be here forever either.
Yeah, it's all good. I was going to say, you might underestimate how many super chats came in, right? Guillotine, Whitsitt drops big science words into his conspiratorial nonsense to pretend, 1, he understands the concepts, and 2, science is on his side. 30 seconds.
Yeah, people just say that I pretend, but they'll never actually specifically say, oh, this is why you were wrong about this phrase or this principle. Go look up what I said, slow it down if you need to, and look up every single word, every single principle. You'll see it's all in context. It's all legitimate. I didn't make anything up. I did thorough research. You can go to my channel to check it out.
All right, beautiful. Nice and quick. So, John Garpin, if heliocentrism and geocentricism can be explained equally well using dynamic equivalence, how does the geocentric equation remove the need for dark matter? 30 seconds.
Yeah, because the reason that we threw out the ether was because we did the Michelson-Morley and it didn't detect the Earth's orbit. So they said, oh, well, either the Earth is stationary or there's no ether. So they threw out the ether, and they came up with all kinds of crazy stuff that things contract, but you can't tell. Time slows down, but you can't tell. We don't have to do that. If we just accept the very precise interferometry measurements that the Earth is stationary, then you have an ether background, which is what quantum physics has proven definitively at this point. Then you have a substantive background, and you don't need dark matter, nor do you need dark energy. The only reason you need dark matter is because it has to be emptiness and nothingness.
All right, David coming in. Whitsitt, explain how the Michelson-Morley result and the Michelson-Gale-Perlison result together erect heliocentrism. 30 seconds.
Michelson Morley was trying to detect the orbital motion around the Earth, and it got a no result, although it did show an interference pattern. It wasn't what was predicted. Michelson Gale Pearson showed the sidereal rotation, so the daily rotation of the sky, for example, which is 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.1 seconds. It measured it perfectly with assuming the ether within the technology. So if you doesn't measure orbit, measure sidereal rotation, then the only feasible explanation is that the Earth's not moving, but the sky is moving, and there is no orbital motion.
Beautiful. I think when I said time, you were just ready to wrap up anyway, so hopefully I didn't interject and people can hear you.
Okay.
Whitsitt, I have done TJump's ham radio experiment. You can too, bro.
I explained how it's not exclusive, and it was hand-wave dismissed, and I've been trying to get an answer to it for 5 years, which speaks for itself. You guys can't rebut it.
All right, next one. Whitsitt, it doesn't matter if something can't be explained in different ways. Sorry, this is from Dillano. I should give the name first. Dillano, thank you so much for your super chat. Whitsitt, it doesn't matter if something can be explained in different ways. What you need to provide is a model that you can use to make novel, testable predictions. You don't know what evidence is.
Yeah, but again, I explained that the geocentric model predicts that everything, including distant galaxies, will move in relation to the Earth. The heliocentric model actually predicted the Earth's in a tiny little insignificant corner tucked away, and it doesn't matter. And you'll see redshift, blue shift, random motions everywhere. We actually saw that everything moves around the Earth. You updated your model to say, oh, it's an illusion. Yeah, I promise it looks like that, but it's not like that. So the novel prediction burden is on you because all actual evidence matches our prediction. And of course, mine is that there's no dark matter, there is no dark energy, the Earth's in the center, and everything we ever observed for the rest of recorded history will show the Earth in the center. It's very simple. You just don't want to accept it.
All right, next one coming in. Congo 44. Whitsitt is pretty arrogant to think that people have not done their experiments. I have. It takes about an afternoon to debunk almost everything you said in the last 5 years. Thoughts, Whitsitt, there for 30 seconds.
There's another baseless claim void of substantive specificity. I explained the moon bounce, and then the fact is you can't even explain how radio waves over 100 megahertz, which is far beyond the supposed ionosphere that reflects it down and saves the globe, go over 2,500 up to 3,000 miles, but it would penetrate the ionosphere. Thanks for playing. Microwaves also do line of sight, beam divergence of less than a meter down to 1 millimeter, and there's no diffraction, no bending, no refraction, and no bouncing off the ionosphere. We refuted the globe in many ways, and that's not what this was about, but thank you for playing.
Alrighty. Justin coming in for 10. Whitsitt, you make assertion claim statements that things debunk something does not make the case. You haven't defended any of the claims you make, you just assert them. Trust me, bro, plus wrong jargon, in quotation.
See, you see how every single supposed debunk of me has nothing specific in it. Because everything I said specifically can't be rebutted. I think that an intellectually honest audience member will see that none of it's being... If you can tell me, oh, but the physics says that actually the inertial forces don't work the way that you say, I will rebut it. But you'll never do that because you can't do that. And the fact is that your own model with Einsteinian or Newtonian mechanics necessitates a kinematic and dynamic equivalence. If you're not familiar with those terms, it's okay. Just go research them. They're simple. I defined them in the opener, and I encourage you to research it more. The truth is that your model's falling apart. It's in a cosmological crisis. The geocentric model doesn't have the dark matter or dark energy problem. It's just chilling, as it always has been and always will be.
All right, Charles Lane are coming in. Sorry, new to this type of debate. Probably has been stated before. But Whitsitt, how does your view account for celestial navigation?
Okay, so that's another flat Earth question, but it's that we actually see in a hemisphere, so we have an azimuthal grid of vision, the actual curvature of our limit, which you can simply understand is go out to the ocean. I was just at the ocean the other day. Go look at the ocean, because I was paying attention, right? You have peripheral vision. You know how you can't see all the way to left and right? You have a limit. Well, look out at the ocean. What you'll see is it looks like a giant circle around you. It's not because of the curve of the Earth, even if you thought it was a globe, because it's way smaller than that. You have a curve around you. Okay, we have an azimuthal grid, a hemisphere of limit around us, and so we see everything within that limit. The globe says, oh, well, no, there is no limit. We can see forever. We're Superman. We see in perfectly straight lines, and that curve is because the Earth is curving. So if you understand that we don't see forever, then it explains everything, including celestial navigation. You map it in an azimuthal grid.
Space Miner says, are reviews of a peer required to have a peer review also to be considered a proper peer review? So we're 10 minutes over, and we're going to try to wrap these up quick, guys.
Many physicists peer review the Newtonian, Neo-Tychonian analysis of planetary motion. They acknowledge that the math and the physics all work, as well as relational mechanics. I personally sent it to a PhD in physics and astronomy, or PhD in astronomy, a professor. He runs a planetarium. He came back and told me, yes, all the math checks out. It is legitimate. I have a couple questions. So the truth is that the math and the physics is indisputable and that all the peers acknowledge it. They just disagree with the conclusion based on philosophical grounds. I encourage you to read the paper if you don't know about some of those terms because you're not well researched. Go watch In the Field. Whitsitt Gets It. Next episode on the first absolute legend coming on. You should check it out.
All right, next one coming in here. Whitsitt, yeah, he did a great job as usual. That's from T Baggins.
Much love, brother. Oh, I met you, bro. Much love, bro.
Yeah, it's always fun when we see people that are in the live chat that we've met and hung out with. Eric William May, Whitsitt crushed it as usual. TJump never researches, never heard of lunar wave. A normie taught me about lunar waves 8 years ago. There's the Canadian coming out in me. Oh, gee. All right, well, let's move on there since that's mostly towards
Bro,
TJump.
get out of that place, bro. Come to freedom, brother. Come to Florida. You can hang out, bro. I got a pool.
You got a pool.
Come to freedom.
We won't talk about that right now. All right, so come to the after show. We can talk about what how I feel about where I am. Alexander L. Whitsitt, draw a diagram of how a boat goes over the horizon.
The boat goes over there. Okay. As the boat leaves, because I live right by many oceanic horizons, okay, the boat, it goes away, and then it starts to disappear from the bottom up. How far away it does that changes based on the day. The bottom layer of the atmos is the most dense, so light gets absorbed in that portion of the atmos faster. It's called attenuation because it's more turbulent and more dense. Also, the angle of the light that you're receiving is smaller at the bottom of the boat relative to your eye level, so it drops below the resolution angle due to the reception and propagation angles sooner. Just look up the terms. I love you guys. It's very simple. If the Earth was flat, the boats would have to disappear from the bottom up. And if you can't let go of that, I'm sorry, I still love you.
Pythagoras, do those books say the solar system doesn't exist? I'm not sure what books they're referencing, but you go ahead there with 30 seconds.
Oh, what the book says, like, for example, specifically this one, Stubbornly Persistent Illusion by...
your books that you brought up, that's of course, yes.
Yeah, what it says is, well, the Earth could be in the center, in the solar system, the soul lore system that lures your soul into insignificance and unimportance, actually isn't exclusively true, and that the evidence shows the Earth could be in the center. And then what he says in this book, and I think it's on page 200 something, is, well, I believe that we're not in the center based on humility because I think it would be more humble to think we're not special and in the center. So that's what the book said.
All right, so Simon Allen, how long does it take for the sun to orbit the Earth?
The same amount of time that they claim. Oh, the sun moves around the Earth every day. Okay, it's 26, 24, or 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.1 seconds, whatever. We have sidereal rotation, and technically, you have the sidereal rotation, the solar rotation is slightly different, but within just a very small amount. Everything moves around the Earth every single day, just constantly moves around the Earth every single day, and there's also an annual cycle of distant galaxies that create circuits, and they complete their circuits once a year. So everything moves around the Earth. There is no evidence that the Earth's moving around the sun. It's very simple, and the sun completes its movement within the ecliptic once a year. Very simple.
Excuse me. All right, so Earth first, space later. Heliocentrism requires proving you can violate natural laws like fluid statics and gas pressure, which is impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Necessary antecedent to gas pressure is physical containment. You can't have a gas pressure system, which people claim that somehow atmos doesn't mean gas, even though it means air, which is defined as gas by definition, adjacent to a near-perfect vacuum without seeking equilibrium and filling the available space. It requires all kinds of anomalous physics. I call the heliocentric model anomalous physics. It's like, oh, well, sure, physics is like this on the Earth, but I promise out in space and with the globe, it's different. It's an anomaly. So, yeah, you have to just want to believe it because you're scared of what people may think. And I encourage you to free yourself from that bondage because it's just not a good way to live.
Eric Belding says, Whitsitt, you say GPS requires a preferred direction for the speed of light. Reference and citation, please.
Yeah, you can look up Ron Hatch, who is actually brought in to correct it. You can also look up, I think I may have showed it in my presentation. If not, go to my Telegram, t.me/Whitsitt gets it. And you can see, I'll drop it in there after this, but we have many different observations and experiments that have measured the fact that the light propagates faster, lower, and higher. I mean, in a certain direction and higher. As you get higher to the sky, the light goes faster, and it goes faster in the same direction the sky moves. And the actual GPS, which I will drop those links in as well, and Ron Hatch just demonstrated this definitively, GPS has to account for the speed of light being faster in that direction because when it sends out the GPS signals, it's actually different duration of signal in the direction of the same direction that the sky moves. So it's fascinating, and you've never been told that because it's uncomfortable for the modern cosmology.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. We're getting near the end there, Whitsitt, and then we can clear on out and clean up here. Let's see. As someone who actually derived and utilized the Einstein and Newtonian equations from scratch and actually sent a CubeSat into space. CubeSat? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, CubeSat.
Okay. This man has absolutely no idea what he's saying. Any thoughts for Balthazar there?
Yeah, he just basically hoping people are wooed by the fact he claims to have sent a satellite somewhere, but CubeSats aren't even impressive, bro. Why would you come in public and flex CubeSats? It's super weird to me. But anyway, I guarantee you that in your equations, you accounted for inertial forces and you used an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system. I know that for a fact because I know people that have sent up CubeSats. So, and I've actually read through NASA's own equations for satellites. So you have to assume the Earth is centered and in the fixed position, and then you use inertial forces as if they're real but claim that they're fictitious. So I know exactly what I'm talking about, and there is a Newtonian, Einsteinian, kinematic, and dynamic equivalence.
All right, last one coming in, Balthazar. The math for predicting all celestial motions goes from being super simple in a heliocentric model to absurdly complex with a geocentric model. I'd love to see him even try to properly derive anything. Thoughts on that before your ending statement? That's the end of our super chats, everybody, so let's stop them from coming in.
It's just another script. If you actually read the papers, you'll see that the math is simpler, but they won't actually read the papers because they're uncomfortable. But I explained earlier that they took Tycho Brahe, a geocentric model, and then they took all his data and tried to make it heliocentric. You got Copernicus. They had to add more epicycles to make it work, which means it was less elegant, it was less adaptable, and it was more complicated. In addition to that, all of the math is very simple because there's a dynamic equivalence if the Earth is in the center. So you said you'd like to see me do it. I just gave you the papers that literally do it. Relational Mechanics by Andreas Sies and Luca Popov wrote the Newtonian neo-Tychonian analysis for planetary motion. Okay, it breaks all the math and physics down. It's very simple. It's more simple, more elegant, and more adaptable than the heliocentric model. But I bet you'll keep repeating that script because, frankly, that's all you have. Is just to claim that it's simpler.
All right, closing thoughts there, Whitsitt, on our discussion tonight.
People back in the day, they thought that the Earth was a plane. Then they thought, oh no, it must be a ball because the perfect shape's a sphere. That's the Greeks. Then they thought it was a stationary sphere for many years, and then they got to the point where they said, oh, actually the Earth is tilted, wobbling, spinning, and revolving around the sun, and that's a sphere, right? And so then we fast forward to where we started making very big advancements in technology and telescopes and stuff, and we were like, okay, well, if the Earth is this little tiny rock in this insignificant corner tucked away, then we should see things moving everywhere. I shouldn't care about the Earth at all. We should see redshift, blue shift, left, right, up, down, everywhere, right? That was just the heliocentric model's predictions. Edwin Hubble saw, wait a minute, everything we see, no matter how far out we see, no matter how good the telescope gets, it all moves around the Earth. Everything, including the distant galaxies, and they spin once a year and complete their circuits, all moving around the Earth. So they had to update the heliocentric model to absorb the idea that all observations would look like we're in the center. They changed it. They moved the goalpost in the early 20th century, and they said, oh, it's accelerating, expanding in all directions. Okay, and there's many different things. We've done cosmic microwave backgrounds that have shown that actually the Earth is in the center based on the anisotropic distribution centered on the Earth. But long story short, in a very simple way, all observations ever show that the Earth's in the center. The heliocentric model says that's just an illusion. So you have the burden of proof to claim that it's actually the opposite of what we see. Now, if we compare the two, the heliocentric model needs dark matter and dark energy to even potentially, possibly, theoretically exist. The geocentric model doesn't have those problems because it's just in the center. It doesn't need accelerative expansion. So therefore, the geocentric model is objectively significantly more viable than the heliocentric model.